talk a little politics with our good friend Trey Harden, ABC News political analyst. Good morning, Trey Harden.
Good morning. How are you?
Well, in some ways, Donald Trump is getting us through the early days of this campaign, at least with something to talk about. He's the only one who's creating waves. I know what he said was wrong. I just don't know why it's wrong. Because, as you point out, there are elements of truth to what he said.
Well, I mean, there are, but it's, again, this goes to the Republican brand that we've talked about many, many times. I mean, they have an identity crisis. They have a brand issue. They have had it for a while, and that is, and whether you want to put the gay marriage issue up there, or even the abortion issue, or even some regarding the immigration issue. You know, those midterm elections last year were not won because of Republican values or Republican ideals. It was a referendum on this president. It presented an opportunity for the Republicans, but it wasn't an endorsement of anything they've done or their brand getting better. I would still argue that they have challenges with their brand, and I think Donald Trump makes those worse because of how he talks about things. It's all in the words. Words matter. You know, that cliche, the tone. How you are talking about other groups of people in this country, it has an impact, and it has a big impact on what I think is a growing and huge block of independent voters that want to vote Republican because they are fiscally conservative, and they think Republicans, ideally, especially from an economy standpoint, have a better path forward. But there are some things like gay marriage and issues like this that just keep them from going that way.
I know he's a bull in the china closet when he says things like this, and he's going to continue to step on the third rail and not say things in a nuanced way. How do the others respond to him? Because they're then put in a box. They are then going to be asked to respond. You can't write him off as a fringe candidate since he's doing so well in the polls. How do the others then respond when he is a bull in the china closet?
Well, I think it's easier than we're probably making it out to be, or people think. I think that when you stand up next to someone like that who has this big of an ego, and frankly, you could even put in the category of being a coward because he's, makes all these comments. I mean, I guess he's maybe no longer a coward because he actually is officially running now, but makes these comments and doesn't really have any meat behind them or details behind them. I just think that you're going to look better than he is when you're standing up next to him. You know, sure, he's got a little momentum right now, but I just chalk that up to the fact that there are a lot of people around the country that like that someone's willing to say brash things right now. They are disenfranchised, or they have problems with elected officials both on the federal and state level because they clearly don't think that they have solved problems over the years. But I think, as we'll see over the next couple of months, he's going to find his way down to the bottom, and you're going to have these other candidates that really are going to have more credibility and stronger resumes and provide more details on their plans because they have experience that are going to pass them by.
However, but early on, and maybe even early some of the primaries, I mean, the Main Street voter isn't paying attention right now. I mean, these are the hardcores who are going out to the town halls, to the VFW halls to listen to these guys, and so they're the ones who you sort of have to massage. And so the Jeb Bushes of the world and the John Kasichs of the world have to. They can't just dismiss Donald Trump. They have to at least acknowledge what he's saying, but then sort of change it around in a nuanced way, I guess, right?
Well, maybe so, but Jeb Bush and Scott Walker and Rubio and all these other candidates they're smarter than that. They know that the last two. You look at the winners of the last two nominations, John McCain and Mitt Romney. Certainly not the darlings of the far right and the hardcore right or the wacky right, whatever you want to call them. To your point, yes, too much gets made of the Republican nomination of that they're just talking to these small groups in VFW halls and community halls that could be groups of like 20 to 25 people. Those are not the majority of people that are voting in these primary battles in these states. They just aren't. And even in states like Iowa, where yes, there's a big turnout among conservatives, there are a lot of true, really well-educated, thoughtful Republican voters that ultimately go to these caucuses out there, and so I think it's just a short-term bump, a short-term wave, if you will. There's an entertainment value to it, but these candidates I know, not like Jeb Bush and others, know not to take the bait and are looking at the bigger picture.
Trey Harden, thanks for checking in. Have a good week.
Always a pleasure. Thanks.
ABC News political analyst Trey Harden here on the Big 550 KTRS. A shout-out goes to Anna and Jackson Brill. They were over at the house the other day. They're two